Hi everyone, how are we doing today? Hanging in there? Right now, Bitcoin is at $23,214, Ethereum is at $1,711, and Giddy. I'm not even going to talk about Giddy. Giddy's down. It's always down. I don't know why I still hold it. Let's talk about the one thing that I have today. I don't have a wide array, a bunch of different tweets or ideas or scaling metrics, showing that Bitcoin and adoption is moving forward. It is. It always is. Every day. You can show that every single day. I do want to talk about one rebuttal that I've seen to this narrative, shall we say. Roger Ver, once an OG Bitcoiner who kind of defected and took the wrong side in the 2017 block wars that we were just talking about in the Bitcoin Independence Day live stream. Roger Ver tweeted this interview with a man named, Nicholas Weaver. Nicholas Weaver is at Berkeley, works at the ICSI, which I believe is the International Computing, where is it? International Computer Science Institute at Berkeley. Weaver is a professor there. And Weaver went on this, I believe, Bloomberg program and talked about how he thought that all crypto should, quote, die in a fire. And he specifically talked about the Lightning Network. Now, this is interesting because I have not heard criticisms of the Lightning Network yet. I think that's for two reasons. One, people are still learning about Bitcoin. They don't even know about the Lightning Network. The average person out there, even a technologically capable and intelligent and educated person, still doesn't know about Lightning. So that is a good reason for you to be bullish on Lightning, because if you're paying attention to that, you are very, very, very early to the party. You're early to the party if you're in Bitcoin right now. Most people don't have it. But if you're into the Lightning world, Lightning Network, well, you're very, very early. But Weaver had a criticism. He said that Lightning couldn't scale, which is the opposite of everything I've ever heard. Strange to hear somebody, especially a computer science person, say that. Let's listen to what Weaver has to say. Roger Ver tweeted this and said, the general crypto public has no idea how badly BTC was crippled and that Lightning doesn't solve anything either. NC Weaver sets them straight. Nicholas Weaver. And then he plays this clip.
And watch your
transactions can Bitcoin perform. 3 to 7 transactions per second worldwide. The technology is so bad, I can only teach it to mock it.
Doesn't Lightning solve that?
No, because the Lightning Network can only add 3 to 7 users per second on a worldwide basis, because any Lightning transaction to create a channel, refund a channel, or close a channel requires a Bitcoin transaction. So Lightning does not solve the problem. How the problem gets solved is what the Shiva wallet did, where you just update entries in a central database like any other payment system.
Nicholas,
So he's saying that Lightning does not scale, that it cannot do enough transactions because necessary transactions involved are just as throttled as the Bitcoin Layer 1 chain. Now, funny enough, Roger tweeted this, but then Nicholas Weaver responded, criticizing Ver and Bcash. Funny. Of course, Roger Ver forgets to note that his precious Bitcoin Cash's 32 megabyte block size makes it amazingly vulnerable to spam instead, growing at 4 gigabytes per day and polluting the UTXO set in the process. And it's just as useless for real-world payments as a normal payment rail will process. Anyway, he's criticizing Ver after Ver tweeted him to criticize Bitcoin. So, funny exchange there. Now, I tweeted this, and I said, can any of my laser-eyed pleb friends help me address this criticism of the Lightning Network? I've never heard this before, and I'm not yet technical enough to address it myself. Thankfully, a bunch of people chimed in with answers. One of those is John Cantrell. If that name sounds familiar, it's because we've seen John talk about onion routing with the Lightning Network and how that improves privacy. John gave a very clear answer to this, and it wasn't even in response to my tweet. Somebody linked to his prior thread on the topic. John says, How will we onboard 7.753 billion people to the Lightning Network? I ran the numbers. Let's see how we can onboard the entire population of Earth using the Lightning Network, how long it might take, and what we can do to speed up the process. To onboard onto the Lightning Network requires sending BTC into 2 of 2 multi-sig funding transactions with your channel partner. To optimize space in this transaction, we want 1 native SegWit input and a single channel funding output. This produces a transaction of roughly 121 V-bytes. I don't even know what V-bytes means. He gets into the technical details and he explains it, basically deconstructing what Weaver has said. So if you want to dive into how John Cantrell explains this away, he goes into the technical details and does a great job of that. I'm not going to do that because it gets into greater technical depth than I have. This person, Germa, I don't know how you pronounce that. I mean, we technically don't need Lightning, it's just a perk. Bitcoin's hard cap is enough to prevent rehypothecation. There's a very real possibility most people will never use on-chain and instead use custodial. Anyone with enough value will be able to afford on-chain. It takes months to close a house and like 5% in fees / closing costs / taxes, and people are okay with that. The only problem I have with this, let's see, maybe it's not this one, maybe it was another tweet. There's the suggestion that custodial solutions, there it is. Most people will never use on-chain and instead use custodial. Well, we've seen how poorly that ends with the recent collapse of things like Celsius Wallet and the trouble that BlockFi faced and the collapse of Voyager. Custodial is not the solution. He's saying there's a very real possibility that most people will never use on-chain and instead use custodial. I don't think that's a future we want to encourage. Even if it's more or less going to happen no matter what, there's always going to be custodial solutions out there. We should always be encouraging people to educate themselves and figure out non-custodial solutions, how to hold it in self-custody. This is not really an answer that we can be comfortable with. This person, Mario Gibney, chimed in and said, unless he is specifically responding to the claim that Lightning is ready for the entire world to use Bitcoin right now, there are several problems with his argument. Because he's right, it might not be ready right now. We will come back to that idea shortly. Gibney says, it implicitly assumes that Bitcoin needs to scale such that everyone can make regular trust-minimized transactions with it. Bitcoin does not need to do this in order to provide tremendous value to the world, so you don't need to get baited into defending that. That's an important point. You don't want to try to defend something that's just not true. You don't want to get pulled into defending an indefensible stance. That can happen, because our tendency is to dig in our heels. Be careful what you decide to defend. It might not be defensible. Lightning doesn't have to solve everything on its own. It is one of many technologies that make Bitcoin more useful. State chains, federated networks, etc. all can provide different types of scaling and functionality. Bitcoin is not limited to 3 to 7 on-chain transactions per second. That is an outdated metric, and even if we got a more accurate number for it, transactions per second is a flawed metric to look at in the first place, because transactions aren't that meaningful in terms of on-chain economic activity due to things like batching. Payments, non-change outputs, is far more meaningful. With widespread Taproot adoption, Bitcoin could approach 10,000 payments per block, which comes out to more than 15 payments per second. The Bitcoin and Lightning protocols are continuously being updated to allow for greater scalability. For an example of each on Bitcoin, if we got cross-input signatures aggregation, that would allow up to 15% extra activity on-chain. This is the main point that I think we need to take away from this. And he hinted at this in his first tweet on the topic. Unless this guy is saying that Lightning is unready for the entire world to use Bitcoin right now, then we shouldn't be, good grief, I'm stumbling, I'm so sorry. What this guy is basically saying is that Lightning Network can't take on the whole world right now, but this is a network that's being updated all the time. It's being built on continually. And BTC Sessions actually chimed in with a number of different thoughts, and that was his major takeaway. I liked it so much that I retweeted it. In short, I'd say the arguments will always be Bitcoin can't do this right now, when in reality, it will turn out to be it can't do it yet. By all accounts of people in 2016, I shouldn't be able to receive fractions of a penny per minute for people listening to my podcast, but I do. He's saying that this can't scale. It already is scaling. It's scaled significantly from where it was just a few years ago, and all indicators are that that will continue. You have really capable people working on this, not just Lightning Labs, but groups like Block, headed by Jack Dorsey. You have Michael Saylor not just investing in buying more, but advocating for Bitcoin and Lightning Network. This is a living, breathing network that continues to grow, not just in usage, but in capacity. New nodes are added all the time. So, can the Lightning Network scale to service the entire world? I believe it can. And even if it doesn't, there are other layer 2 networks being built constantly. I'm very bullish on Lightning Network. I don't think what this guy says is rooted in reality. It may even be technically correct right now, today. I don't think it's going to continually be correct for very long. That's the one thing I wanted to talk about today, team. This tweet did get a fair amount of interaction, specifically because BTC Sessions chimed in, and he certainly has a following. So he even used this as the prompt in his daily live stream. So if you want to check that out, go to BTC Sessions. He's got numerous different places online that you can listen to him. Not difficult to find. That's what I got, fam. Tell me what you want to talk about. We will be back on Monday with more. Thanks.